our ward, video number 3. My name's Emily and this is Ellie, and we've got Anne here to help us today, along with little Ted down here as well. Now in this video, Ellie, guess what we're going to do? Well done. We're going to recap some of the things we did on video number 2. So we're going to talk about the primary survey. Do you remember the one we did in video number 2? The primary survey. Can you remember the letters we use to remember the primary survey? What are they? D for danger. R for response. Remember, we're going to see if we can wake them up by making a noise or by talking in their ear. And then A for airway, so we open up our airway, Ellie. And B to see if we can see them breathing. So we're going to use that primary survey again, Ellie. But this time, our casualty is going to be Anne here. And our casualty is not going to be breathing. So remember in video number 2, we used a real person to help us practice the recovery position. Well, today, we're not going to use a real person because we are only acting. And we don't want to hurt somebody that's real. So what we're going to use is we're going to use a mannequin, or if you haven't got a mannequin like Anne at home or at school, then you can use a teddy. That's why my teddy's here. Or you can grab a cushion from anywhere, whether you're at home or at school, Ellie. And they can practice what we're going to do on their teddy or on their cushion, okay? So you can watch this video and you can join in as you are going along, or watch it and practice a bit later on, whatever you decide, okay? Are we ready, Ellie? Good. Okay, let us begin. Now remember, we've said in the past 2 videos that the most important person is who? You. You are the most important person. We have to make sure that we are safe before we go and help anyone. Isn't that right, Ellie? Yes, well done. So we need to make sure that we are safe, and also we need to make sure we stay calm, because it can be quite a nerve-wracking situation when you come across somebody that you can't wake up and also that's not breathing. Because this person's not very well, are they? No. So we need to stay calm and always get help if we're not quite sure what to do. So let us begin. I'm going to demonstrate here on Anne, but also show you how to do it on Ted and a cushion as well, won't we? And let's get Anne on the floor here. There we go, Anne. Okay. Ellie said, what's that red thing on the floor? Well, this red thing here we're going to talk about a bit later, because we're going to do this bit first, Ellie. Don't rush me. And then we're going to talk about how to use an AED. I know so many new words we're learning, aren't we? So an AED, automated external defibrillator. But we're going to come to that later on. Okay, so be patient. First things first, we've got Anne acting on the floor here. Remember, we're not going to use a real person to be the actor on the floor. We're going to use your teddy if you would like to, or you can use a cushion on the floor, but not a real person, okay? Because this is really serious. We only ever do it on a real person in an emergency. Yes, Ellie, we do. We only ever do it on a real person in an emergency. Okay, so the very first thing we do, we come into the room. Do you remember we did it the other day in video number 2 with Sue on the floor? So we check the area for danger. We're looking up, we're looking around. Make sure there's no one else around, because we need to make sure we are safe. Then we're going to come up to them, we're going to talk to them. We're going to talk to them, Ellie. Wakey, 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 wakey. Give them a bit of a tickle. We don't shake, we just tickle them. Or make a big loud noise, Ellie. No response. So we're going to shout, help, help, to see if anyone comes and helps us. Then, Ellie, do you remember we're going to open the airway? Yeah, do you remember how to do that? I'll put my hand on the forehead and you're going to use your trunk to open the airway. There we go, all the way back, like so. And then do you remember, Ellie, we're going to look and see if they're breathing. So I will do this. I'm going to look at their belly going up and down. It's not going up and down though, Ellie. Can you remember how long we checked their breathing for? Or do you remember? What is it? Well done. Can you remember? It's 10 seconds. Yeah, and this person's not breathing, Ellie. Okay, so what are we going to do now, Ellie? Well done. Do you remember what number to call? Because this is an emergency. So we're going to go and call 999 or 112. and they're going to ask us what service we require. What service is it we need? Can you remember? Yeah, we need the ambulance. All first aid emergencies, we need the ambulance. And we're going to tell them what's happened, because then they can get here really quickly for us. So we've got someone that we can't wake up and they're not breathing, Ellie. And there's one more important thing we need to tell them, Ellie. Can you remember what that is? Well done. We need to tell them where we are so they can come to us very quickly. Then we are going to do CPR, Ellie. Yeah, I know. CPR, she says, what is CPR? Well, CPR stands for cardio, to do with our heart, pulmonary, to do with your lungs, and resuscitation, which means wakey, come back to life. So CPR. Now, when we do CPR, we want them to be naked. Ooh, I know. So hopefully somebody can go and get the first aid kit. When you shout for help, somebody should hopefully come back with the first aid kit for it. And maybe we've got some scissors where we can cut their clothing off, because really we want them to be naked on the top, Ellie. She says, why? Well, because CPR is quite hard work and we don't want to be pushing through the clothing. And also, when the AED comes, Ellie, they need to stick onto the person's chest and they can't stick onto clothing. So we've called 999 and then we're going to make sure we cut this person's clothing off. Or in this case, we can just remove, there we go, like so. And now we have a naked chest, Ellie. Now, all we're going to do is use the heel of my hand, point to Ellie, there we go with your trunk, the heel of my hand here on the centre of their chest, right here on the centre of the chest. And we're going to use two hands and we're going to push down as hard as we can go. And officially, Ellie, it's 5 to 6 centimetres in depth. So I'm going to get up on my knees to do this, okay? See here. So I'm going to put my heel of my hand there. And you're going to help me, Ellie, as well. And you're going to push. And we're going to push down as hard as we can go. So you're helping me, Ellie. So we're going to push all the way like this. Okay? And we're going to sing a song, Ellie. Do you know what song we're going to sing? Do you know what song? We're going to sing Ellie the Elephant back to trumping off the circus. And that's the speed we're going to do it at, Ellie. Ellie, can you just watch me over here? Okay, so you go over there and you watch. And I'm going to show them with my hand. So one hand goes here, the other one goes there. And we're going to push down really hard, making sure my knees are out the way. There. Ellie the elephant packed a trumpet off the circus. Off she went with a trumpety trump, 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 trump. Now, I'm not very good at singing, but maybe you are a lot better than me. And maybe you know other songs that you can sing. Maybe Baby Shark song. So it's roughly that speed that you do it at, okay? And you've got to keep on going. Just keep pushing up and down. And because you're going to be shouting for help all the time, so I'm going to be singing them going, help, help. When somebody else turns up, you can ask them to swap with you, because this is very, very tiring and we do want a bit of a rest. Okay, let's recap and put all this all together again. So we walked into the room, we checked the area for danger, looking up, looking around. We talked to them, Ellie, didn't we? We went, wakey, wakey, are you okay? Can you hear me? Then we went, help, help, shout for someone to come and help us. Then we opened the airway and we looked at their belly going up and down. And we're checking for 10 seconds. Oh, this person's not breathing, Ellie. Now we're going to go and call the emergency services and we're asking for an ambulance. We're telling them why someone's not waking up and they're not breathing, Ellie. And then we're going to tell them where we are. Then we're going to come to our casualty on the floor, the person that we can't wake up, and we're going to put a heel of the hand on the centre of the chest, and we're going to push. And you can help me this time, Ellie, again. Pushing, and we're going to sing your song. Ellie the elephant, back to turn it off this, and we're going to keep on going. And when someone else takes over from us, we will have a little bit of a rest while they go and take over from us. And then when they get tired, Ellie, what are we going to do then? Yeah, then we'll keep swapping over until eventually the ambulance will turn up, won't they? Do you understand all that, Ellie? You do? Oh, well done. Well, let's talk about the AED, because that's this thing over here. Now, an AED stands for Automated External, Defibrillator, or defib, or shocky thing. So if there was somebody there helping you, you would ask them to go and get it for you, okay, Ellie? So if you're by yourself, you're going to call the ambulance and you come and do CPR. But if there's somebody else there, say, go and get me a defibrillator. Well, Ellie says, where would you go for a defibrillator? Well, do you know where your nearest one is? Do you have one at school? Do you know where else you can find them? She doesn't. Well, you can find them in leisure centres. You can find them in supermarkets and in shopping centres. And if you live in the countryside, they can be found on the outside of buildings as well as inside. But sometimes they can be found in phone boxes as well. So go looking to see if you know where your nearest one is to where you live, and also where the nearest one is to your school, Ellie. Now we have a practice one here. So it's not a real one, but we've got a practice one here. And we're going to show you how to do it, aren't we, Ellie? We are. Okay. So the very first thing we do when we get it, Ellie, is we're going to open it up. So here it is. I'm going to open it up. Whoop. There we are. And it has some scissors in there. And we've already cut this person's clothing off. Poor Ellie, look, it's got a razor. Do you know what you might use a razor for? Do you know? You do. What's it for, Ellie? No, it's not for shaving off his hair on his head, but sometimes some people have hairy chests. So we need to make sure we shave the hairy chest. Now, not all over the place, and we're going to shave where we're going to put some pads on. So can you show me on yourself where you'll put a pad? Where is it, Ellie? There and there. Good. So your right collarbone, your clavicle, and your left-hand side is where you're going to put it on. So your right collarbone and your left-hand side. So we shave there and we shave here. And then we get the pads out. And the pads, Ellie, will be inside a packet that looks like this. So we're going to open it up. And we're going to get the pads out. Ooh. There we go. And on the pads, Ellie, if you get confused, there's actually pictures on here that shows us where we should put the pads. Okay? So we're going to stick them, peel them off, because they're a bit like plaster, so help me here. So peel this one off. Oh, thank you for helping me. And then we're going to stick that one. Remember we said we're going to stick it on the right collarbone. And then you're going to help me get this one off, Ellie. You hold that while I peel this off. Oh, hold it there. Thank you. And we're going to place this down on the left-hand side. So can you see where we've put them? On the right collarbone, this bone that runs here, and then down here on the left-hand side, just here. And we're going to make sure we've turned the machine on, and it will talk to us. Look.
Apply pads to patient's bare chest. Plug in pads connector next to flashing light.
Okay, so we've done that. We've put the pads on. Now it's asking us to plug it in, Ellie. So we're going to plug this in. And there's a flashing light on this. So we're going to get this end.
Apply pads.
Plug
in connector.
It's going to keep reminding us what to do, Ellie. So we're going to plug it in now. Like that. And we're going to listen to it.
Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
So no touching, Ellie. Don't touch.
Shock
No,
advised.
don't touch.
Charging. Stay clear of patient.
So stay clear. Don't go anywhere near them.
Deliver shock now. Press the orange button now.
Push with your trunk.
Shock delivered. Paused. Start CPR.
Okay, so now it's telling us what to do. It's saying now do CPR. Okay, so when someone turns up with one of these AEDs, we turn it on, we put the pads on to a naked chest, and we plug it in. And then we just follow the instructions. So it's told me to do CPR now, so we should be doing CPR, pushing down really hard on this person's chest until it tells us to stop. Ellie said, why did it say push the button and shock the patient? So what this does is a very clever bit of kit. What this does, it reads the person's heart signals. So these two pads here are reading what's going on inside our hearts. Remember, our heart is here in the centre of the chest. And it recognises certain rhythms, Ellie. And when it recognises one, then it advises to shock. So what it's doing is trying to reboot the heart. A bit like when the computer or the phone don't work properly. we try and reboot it by turning it off. So that's what this does. It kind of reboots the heart when it gives a shock. But it's really important, Ellie, that we don't touch a casualty when it says do not touch, because we will get shocked as well. This whole time I'm doing CPR until this machine talks to us again, Ellie, because it will keep talking to us and telling us what to do. So please don't worry about using it. You can't hurt somebody with this. And please don't worry when you're doing CPR and you hear clicking noises. That's perfectly normal, Ellie, okay? So don't worry about anything like that. Just keep on going. So we're just going to keep on going. So let's just carry on with some CPR now, because we shouldn't have stopped, but we're just talking to you. So we're going to keep on going. And that clicking noise is perfectly normal. We're just not going to stop. I'm going to keep shouting for help because this is really tiring. So help. Oh.
Stop CPR.
It says stop. What does it mean?
Analyzing heart rhythm.
Okay, it says do not touch.
Stay clear of patient.
Okay, so it says don't touch, so we're not touching.
Analyzing heart rhythm. No shock advised.
Okay, it says no shock advised.
If needed, start CPR.
If needed. Do you think it's needed? It says, how do I know if it's needed? Well, this person's not breathing, Ellie. I can't see their belly going up and down. I can't hear them breathing. I can't see them. So we need to carry on with CPR again. Okay? So don't worry if this says no shock advised, Ellie. Just keep on going with CPR. It told me to do that, didn't it? So it's very easy to follow. So let's just go through what we did again. So we came in the room, we checked the air for danger, we checked for response. Hello, can you hear me? Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. Help, help. We opened the airway and we looked to see if they're breathing. And if it's someone you know, you might get nice and close to them to see if you can feel them breathing and hear them. They're not breathing, so we called the ambulance. We told them what's happened and we told them where we are. We then started CPR. Yeah, and if someone came to help us, we would have said, go and get me an AED. And when they came back with an AED, we will then remove the clothing if we haven't done so already. We turn it on, we put the pads on, Ellie. We did, didn't we? And then we listen to the machine and it tells us what to do. It told us when to start CPR, when to stop, when to touch, when not to touch, and it told us when to push the button. So anyone can use one of these. And what we'd like you to do now is just to practice on a cushion or a teddy that whole sequence of the primary survey, remember? And then practice doing CPR and see how long you can do it for without getting too tired. And maybe you can make one of these AED machines, obviously one that's not real, Ellie, but they could just practice putting some pads or bits of paper on your cushion so you know roughly where you need to put them. Is that a good idea? Yeah. Okay, so today then we covered the primary survey, we covered CPR, and we talked about how to use an AED. Now you've got a few worksheets to do, so get on with your worksheets and we look forward to seeing you in video number 4. Say goodbye. Bye everybody. Thank you for listening.